next strategy that we're going to use is called the continuum. And for the continuum, you're going to line up from one side of the room to the other. Now we're going to need a little more room in here, so we're going to have to slide our desks over against the wall. And if you can lift them, that would be great. So I'm going to start with the first row. Can you please take your books and set them up here on the table? Thank you. Now I'd like you to take your desks and bring them against the side of the wall. And thank you for lifting them. Prevents my floor from getting scratched. All right, go ahead and place your books up there. If you want to take these desks then while we're waiting, just to speed things along. Thank you. All right, next row, go ahead. If you want to grab these desks, gentlemen, thank you. Go ahead. And the last row. What I'd like you to do now is I want you to stand where your desk used to be. Go ahead, stand where your desk used to be. Students, for the last day and a half, we have been talking about the issue of capital punishment. And as you know, capital punishment is where the state can determine whether or not they can take a person's life because they committed a homicide. Some states have capital punishment, other states do not. In a state where you do not have capital punishment, the worst that the state can do to you is put you in prison with no chance for parole. If there is capital punishment, your life could be ended because of the crimes that you've committed. What I would like to know is how you feel about this very issue. And I'm going to ask you to do the continuum. And on one side of the room, over here, if you feel like you should never end someone's life, that it's just hypocritical to put someone to death for killing someone else, I want you in this area. And if you feel that someone's life should end because they hurt another, then I want you on this end over here. And you will have to line yourselves up depending upon how you feel about this very controversial issue. I want you to talk to each other as you move, try to figure out how your neighbor feels about the issue, and then line yourself up. Okay, go ahead and move and talk to one another. Talk to each other, see how they feel about the issue. So I'm going to ask a few of you to speak, if you don't mind. And I'm going to start with Yuli, who's right in the middle.
Well, I say it kind of depends what the person did. Like he could have done self-defense, and he shouldn't be put to death. But I'm talking about like a guy that killed a lot of people, then he should be put to death because he's gonna.
All right, so you're saying it depends on the crime and how bad of a crime it was.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to go down to the end here.
Like, if I was a family that had the child or person in their family murdered, I would actually really be mad because some other guy killed your friend or your family member, and they're not going to do anything but just send him to life without parole. And I would be really, really mad about that. So I would just put him to death because I don't think he deserves to live after killing that person. And yeah.
All right, Andrea, you're on the side that says the state should never kill anyone for any reason, period. Can you tell us why you feel that way, please?
Life is a valuable thing, totally valuable. And if you take a person's life, there should be harsh punishments, but once again, it is very valuable. You shouldn't take yet another person's life.
For the state to say don't kill and then they turn around and take someone's life, it seems a little hypocritical. Is that what I hear you saying? Any other comments in this area related to that issue? Or anybody on the continuum want to share something? Please.
Well, I think instead of putting them to death, it'd be a worse punishment to have them stay alive and live with the guilt that they killed someone and their family is mourning.
That's a very good point, you know. If the state takes their life, that's it. You're saying let them live with what they did so that they can think about it. Maybe that's a more fitting punishment. Very good perspective. Ian, I see you down on the end of the line and you're jumping around with your hand in the air.
We never truly enjoyed lining up in elementary school, but your students will take pleasure in forming a line for this strategy entitled Continuum. Give your students a variety of statements, including controversial ones. As always, I will provide a few examples, but you should never limit yourself to these statements alone. Instead, use the statements that fit the topics you are currently studying. I begin by telling my students they will be standing up. They will form one continuous line in the front of the room, or diagonally across the classroom. The hallway works well, outside if possible, or any place you have an area for children to spread out. Where they stand in this line is dependent upon how they feel in relation to the topic being discussed. After asking a few students to share their feelings on the issue, I split the line in half. This provides apprehensive students an opportunity to share their ideas with at least one other person. Get all your students up and talking with one another using this exciting strategy.
All right, great job lining up, everyone. And it seems as though you have some strong feelings on this issue. Ian, you're on one end. I can see Andrea way down on the other. And it's going to be interesting when you two talk to one another. And so what I'm going to ask you to do, Ian, is I'm going to have you circle around behind me and stop when you're right in front of Andrea. Derek, I want you to follow behind Ian, and you're going to stop in front of Monica. So on and so forth until each of you has a partner. We have an even number, so it should work out perfectly. If not, I would throw myself into the mix. Okay, go ahead, circle behind. Great. Now I'm going to move up and down the line so I can hear some of your conversations. I might also walk behind the line. This is side A. A's, I want you to raise your hands up. Okay. Thank you. B's, I want you to put your hands up. Awesome. Now the A's are going to share how you feel about this issue of capital punishment. The B's, all you're going to do is listen. Lots of times when people are on opposite sides of an issue, they will pretend like they're listening to the person, but as soon as that person takes a breath, they come back with what they wanted to say the entire time. You're going to be allowed to speak and share your opinion, and they're going to listen, and then they're going to give that information back. It's very honoring. Let's start with side A. A's, I would like you to tell the B's how you feel about the issue of capital punishment and if the state should put someone to death for the crimes that they've committed. Go ahead, A's. Share. Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Nice job. Now B's. B's, I would like you to share what you heard from the A's. Go ahead, B's, share the information, please. Okay, nice job. At this point, I would like the B's to share with the A's how you feel about the issue of capital punishment. Go ahead. Okay, I'm going to stop you right there. At this point, I would like the A's to repeat what you heard. Go ahead. All right. Nice work, everyone. So now, I would like someone to share with the group, if you're willing, either your opinion or what you learned from your partner. Or maybe you've taken information, you've melded it together. Is anybody willing to share for the group? Aaron, go ahead.
Everybody should get a second chance.
Okay, you feel
Even
like,
though I'm not on that side, but I learned that from my partner.
okay, awesome. You learned that from your partner, that everybody deserves a second chance. And if you put the person to death, that's not giving them a second chance. Okay? And you taught them that. Thank you. Okay, Courtney, will you please share how you feel about this issue?
I'm kind of on both sides. I mean, like, if the crime wasn't serious, like if it was an accident that you killed someone, like you dropped something and it accidentally killed them, I don't think you should go and be put to death. I think maybe jail or prison, and not for long. But if it was more serious, or murdering someone or even a mass murder, I think that they definitely should be put to death.
Okay, so that's a good perspective. Depends on the circumstances surrounding the death of another individual. Was it done intentionally or not? Was it premeditated, planned out? That's an excellent perspective. Thank you.
We all have students in class whose voices we rarely notice other than when we take attendance and they quietly say, "Here." The Continuum Strategy is an effective strategy because all students are engaged, even if they only say a few words. While many of our students may be intimidated when it comes to speaking before the entire classroom, this strategy allows the students to simply talk and, more importantly, listen. I like to walk up and down and behind the lines as the students share information. When I hear something notable, with permission, I like to have that student share it with the rest of the class, or I will share it for them. This technique will certainly boost a student's confidence. I once used this strategy when our school was devising a new discipline policy. I wanted to hear what my quieter students had to say on this topic. Numerous ideas were provided. As a matter of fact, a quieter student suggested school uniforms, which is a topic I explored further when I took my students outside for this activity. You will see that conversation shortly. Occasionally, do some students refuse to stand up and participate in this activity? Yes. However, it does not deter me from using this or other active learning strategies. I respectfully try to include them the best I can based upon the conversation that is taking place. Happily, a student that thought they didn't want to participate suddenly stands up and joins the line. As always, I do my very best to show kindness and respect, knowing this is the only way I can hope to get more participation from these students in the future.
Students, we're going to use the continuum again today, but this time the issue revolves around global warming. And you're going to line up depending upon how you feel about that issue. Now, instead of moving the desk today, we're going to find a new space. We're going to take a mini field trip and we're going to go out into the hallway. How does that sound?
Great. Great.
All right. I want you to leave your books here. I want you to gently lift yourselves up. Stand next to your desk. And I want you to follow me respectfully, but there's a lot of other classrooms going on. Okay, follow me. Nice job, everybody, lining up. Courtney, you're on the far end, and you're saying that the Earth is definitely getting hotter. Dustin, you're on this end, and you're saying that the Earth is just going through a cycle. Awesome. What I would like you to do, Dustin, is swing around this way, please. And I want you to go and talk to Courtney. And keep going all the way around. Okay, at this point, side A, I would like you to share with side B how you feel about the issue of global warming. Go ahead.
I think global warming
I think
is
the global warming
definitely
being bad
I
because
mean,
the ice is melting.
statistics prove it.
Yeah.
The ice caps are melting.
Thank you.
line yourselves up like you just were before. Point to your partner. All right, if it's a nice day, we can take it outside. And the issue is school uniforms. Josh, can you tell us how you feel about the issue of school uniforms, please?
I don't really like them because it's just kind of another thing you have to worry about for school, and it kind of interferes with your freedom to wear whatever you want, as long as it doesn't like offend somebody else.
So you look at it as a freedom of speech issue.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of that?
All day.
Give him a little something if you like that answer. And Derek, how do you feel about the issue of school uniforms?
I feel differently than Josh does because school uniforms would I don't know, we'd all look the same and people would be like, oh, your clothes. We'd be like, dude, we have the same exact clothes, so why are you judging me about my clothes? And so, yeah, it would be actually a pretty good idea.
And he takes a risk saying that, especially if most of his classmates are not in favor of wearing school uniforms. But hey, we get so wrapped up sometimes in what people look like, we can't get past that into what the actual person's all about. So fantastic. We're all dressing the same, then we're beyond it. Then we can worry more about how we treat one another. Awesome. All right, class, nice job with that strategy. One of the things I like about the continuum is that it gets you talking with one person across from you. And many of you feel very comfortable speaking with one other individual. Another thing that I like about it is situations that we had with Courtney. Courtney shared her perspective, and after Chu Yi heard the things that Courtney had to say, all of a sudden in his own mind, he's beginning to think a little differently. And that's the beautiful part of having an open mind and listening to people who don't always agree with you. If you're willing to listen and hear their perspective, then maybe it'll alter your own perspective. And maybe it won't. But you won't know unless you listen. So great job, everyone. Give yourselves a little something.
Before, during, and after the Continuum Strategy, I remind my students the most important part of communicating is listening. In simpler terms, I remind them they have 2 ears and 1 mouth. I want my students to sincerely listen to one another. This is accomplished through the Continuum Strategy, when the students, in their own words, explain what they heard from their partner. In addition, this strategy helps build confidence amongst our quieter students. I used to believe, incorrectly, my louder, more outgoing students had all the best answers. After 2 decades of teaching, I have discovered one absolute truth. My quieter students have deep and brilliant insights, and when it comes to sharing their beliefs, they merely need a different approach.